Are you certain you're ready to attempt this? The last time left you too weak to stand, and it gave you a migraine headache from hell. I appreciate your courage more than I could ever convey, but I will not take chances with your safety and your well-being. I can't lose you, Eden. I wouldn't be able to go on. Yes, finding and rescuing any surviving Atlanteans has been my life's work, and I feel closer to that goal than ever before. But you are the reason we're so close. Your psychic gifts brought us the breakthrough of being able to speak to the collective. Simply put, if there are any survivors, they now have a chance because of you. That said, using your gift is exhausting, and we have to limit our conversations with the collective to less than a minute for your safety. If it takes several attempts to get an answer, so be it. I can't allow you to suffer for this. We also can't be sure Tanis won't overhear our conversation with the collective. He is an Atlantean after all, albeit a despicable example. If I feel his presence in our connection, we must break off from the collective immediately. We can't allow him to trace the connection back to you. I'm not certain what he's capable of, and you are far too important to ever be at risk by his hand. The man is evil, pure and simple. I agree. I think our question should be, are there any survivors in stasis? If we have time for a second question, do you think we should ask, can they be saved? I'm quite sure we won't have sufficient time for the third question because that's where we have to ask, how do we save them? And I have no doubt the answer will take much more time than you can withstand without suffering terribly. All right, if you're ready, let's begin. You're a miracle. You know that, don't you? Perhaps I'm not the most objective judge, but I assure you, I am quite right about this. Yes, I feel it too. Our energy is combining. The portal is opening, isn't it? Ask if there are any survivors in stasis.
They await your signal.
Yes, I heard it too. How are you feeling, Eden? Are you up to asking another question? No, not that one. We must ensure that our communication with them is private. Yes, ask if Tanis is part of our conversation.
This is a single frequency.
No, Eden, break off right now. You're too pale. You're shaking from the strain. We will get our answers when your strength returns. Break the connection. Can you hear me? Are you all right? You collapsed. Luckily, I was here to catch you. Is it your headache or the exhaustion? You can protest all you like, but I'm carrying you to our room. Don't be silly. There's nothing to apologize for. Because of you, we now know there are indeed surviving Atlanteans, and that we need to save them. Just a few minutes longer is a seductive trap that you are not going to fall prey to. It's far too easy to get into real danger by trying to hold out longer than you know you should. No, you need to rest. I'd prepared for this ahead of time. I have your favorite hot tea and a blueberry scone right here. Sip this slowly and rest. Here you are. Take a bite. The sugar will help. How's your head? Good. I'm glad it's not as bad this time. Yes, I believe if we're careful, we can strengthen and develop your psychic powers. Perhaps over time, we'll be able to hold the connection longer without putting undue strain on you. Agreed. I found their answer intriguing. They await your signal. And those 4 simple words have my mind in chaos. So many questions that must be answered. Yes, we have to figure out what the signal is, and then find a way to produce it and make sure they receive it. Can we access the survivors through the collective, or do we have to use a manual delivery system? Could this be why Tanis is collecting the coins? Are they needed to produce the signal? I have no idea either. Their answer to our second question is intriguing as well. Single frequency, in regards to whether the conversation is private. That confuses me as well. Single frequency implies that communication can be across multiple frequencies. If we found a way to open multiple frequencies, would those in stasis hear us? Is that how we send the signal? Yes, you're right. We are getting ahead of ourselves. I had assumed that single means they are only speaking to you. Yes, I did hear them as well. Maybe that is a poor assumption. But now that you mention it, I think you're right. I only hear them through our connection. Did you feel Tanis? Sense him in any way? I didn't either. So the single frequency is a direct link between us and the collective. If we reach out to them again, do you think it's safe to ask more specific questions? Yes, if. Whether or not we continue seeking their help is up to you. And this takes a tremendous toll. Don't pretend it doesn't. I must admit, your color came back much quicker this time. That is encouraging. I just had a thought. We know that ordinary metals absorb radio waves, right? What if the elders found a way to lock a message or a signal into the coins? Think of it in terms of radiation. Once a piece of metal is contaminated, it's virtually impossible to remove the isotope. No, I don't believe the coin is radioactive. I believe the coin has special properties that our ancestors used to lock a signal or a message into the very molecules that comprise the coin. We need to examine the coin further. Of course I tested it, but I tested it within a dry environment of my laboratory. Now that was a mistake. Sound waves travel significantly faster underwater. The elders knew the fate that awaited them. They would have known the stasis tubes would be buried far under the ocean's surface. If our guess is correct, they would have used a low frequency, one able to travel along the ocean floor. When you're able, we'll take the coin and run a few tests while it's submerged in salt water. I agree, the ocean water alone will not be enough to initiate the signal. And there was a very real possibility that one or all of our ships would be lost at sea. They wouldn't risk premature emergence of those within the stasis tubes. I know it's a long shot, but I believe we're on the right track, and it's all because of you. Us? No, I disagree. I'd been searching for more years than I care to remember, and had achieved very little in terms of actually finding Atlantis. In the short time we've been together, the strides we've made have been incredible, truly incredible. We mustn't rush and compromise your safety. I mean it. Rest now, my love.